What's up, Houston, Texas? What's up, everybody around the world? What is going on? You listen to the Sports Court. I'm Gregory Beatty. Up in here with my man Skrilla Montana. He actually goes by Skrilla Montella. Skrilla Montana. I actually added the Rilla in there because he a real brother. What's up, Skrilla? What's up, Skrilla? That's what's up right there. That's grade A media, grade A radio's finest right there. Hey, glad to be here. Hold real tight real quick. You listen to the Sports Court. Again, I'm Gregory Beatty, the show that keeps it 100% of the time. And let me turn this down real quick. Let me go ahead and share. Let me share it before I get rolling right here, Skrilla. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you getting me going here. Hey, you know what? Do you know what too? You know what too? Hey, I got the volume turned down on here, and it's still, you know what too? Y'all hold tight. Y'all hold tight. Get your popcorn ready. Get your popcorn ready. Am I live and direct? Am I live and direct? Mm-hmm. That's what's up. I'm just trying to find it on here where I could actually, where I could get it out to the masses real quick. It's not popping up right this second, but I'll tell you this. There it is. There it is. Yeah, damn good quality. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, while you right there, Skrilla, while you're right there, hold on, man. Hold on, bro. Check this out right here, Skrilla. Check this out. I want you to read this real quick for me, bro, if you don't mind, before you go, before I get rolling in here. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron going back to Cleveland tonight, which I can turn the volume down on that. Skrilla, what this say right here, right quick? I'm going to talk about everything. College football playoffs, the Buckeyes lost to Michigan, NBA, NFL, all of that. Got a couple of tidbits from MLB. Skrilla, check this out right here real quick. Check this out. Now, my boy is a DB coach. One of my road dogs at Ohio State is a DB coach for the Buckeyes. Now, read this for me, Skrilla, right here. The date and everything. Read that.
11:26. Man, I know.
What time was it? What time did I text it?
4:30
a.m.
Man, I don't know. I don't have to tell you this, but please tell your crew to watch out for deep downfield throws, especially off play action.
Hey,
they're going to catch y'all sleeping.
You know, hey. My boy Skrilla just read that. That's what I text my boy, the DB coach for Ohio State, Tim Walton, who's a damn good coach, by the way. Nice resume. Great guy, by the way, too. I text him this when I was at work Saturday morning. You know, I work on Saturday mornings, overnight. You know what I'm saying? My off day is Sunday and Monday. Saturday morning, 4:30 in the morning, fired up for the Ohio State-Michigan game. I text him, Skrilla just read it to you. Man, I know I don't have to tell you this, but please tell your crew to watch out for deep downfield throws, especially off play action. You know they're going to try to catch y'all slipping. Skrilla, of course, he didn't text me back. You good right here?
Yeah.
Right there? Okay. Of course he didn't text me back. He probably say, GB fired up, which I was. But I texted him that early that morning, way before the game, because breaking the game down the Tuesday before that, I was ranting and raving and still being analytical and doing what I do, but I was ranting and raving and stuff. And that's one of the things that I forgot to mention, actually, was about the passing game. J.J. McCarthy. Now, Michigan came into the game ranked 99th. They came into the game ranked 99th in passing. 99th. But something kept telling me the way Ohio State continues to give up big plays, and I know they got the new coordinator, Jim Knowles, who came from Oklahoma State, which I was still the entire season, which they had been playing better before that game. They had been playing a lot better before that game, but I was still saying to myself, Skrilla, go ahead. I was still saying to myself, I hope J.J. McCarthy doesn't have a breakout game, because I know they're going to take some shots downfield and try to catch Ohio State slipping. And you think Is that what happened? You think? I think it is what happened. And that's why I texted my boy early that morning about that. Now, obviously, he didn't pay attention to the text or something. I don't know. But Jim knows Oklahoma State, which I've been hearing everybody talk about how great Jim knows, the great defensive coordinator from Oklahoma State. And I was always wondering to myself, okay, great defensive coordinator from, hey, boy, appreciate you, love you, boy. Hey, the great defensive coordinator, Skrilla Riddle, you got a fan right there? Appreciate you. The great defensive coordinator from Oklahoma State? Is that where we're going now? Oklahoma State, the Big 12. And you're talking about how great the defense coordinator is. Now, again, Ohio State has been better up until that point. I'll get to the Michigan game directly. And I know it was a couple of weeks ago. Meant to get in here last week, had some other things, didn't get in here. And it damn sure wasn't because of that. Trust me, because I had every intention. As a matter of fact, I was actually going to come in here with my helmet on and a white T-shirt and talk for like 10 minutes just about that game and say I'm out. And trust me, I was. But I said, you know what? I'll say all I have to say next week. I'll be honest. I thought the season was over. Did not expect Ohio State to be in the position that they are now as far as making it to the college football playoffs. I'll talk about that in a second too. But Jim knows, the ballyhoo Jim knows. I love what he's done for the defense for the most part up until that game. But I kept saying they're hyping up a guy from, if I remember correctly, didn't Oklahoma State win a lot of games? I mean, it's the Big 12. What? 45-35, 50-30. I mean, so, hey, that's just me. But if they want to talk about the great defensive coordinator from Oklahoma State, I roll with it because, Ohio State was undefeated going up until that game. And I know I talked a bunch of noise. Same thing I did last season about Ohio State, Michigan. I talked a bunch of noise. And I'll tell you this. The game, Ohio State had the lead going into the second half. It was 20-17. Got off to a quick start, driving the ball up and down the field. And, of course, the first drive, when you put up 3 points instead of 7 points, this is what happens. You have to convert on those drives. But without really delving too much into that game and moving ahead, but I'm sitting here saying to myself, okay, after I texted my boy, 4:30 in the morning, you just heard Skrilla. You just heard him read the text, said the date and everything before the game that Saturday morning. Watch out for the deep downfield passes. Ohio State and Jim knows, of course, they played against a couple of teams, Penn State and Notre Dame, which got better throughout the season. That's one of the reasons. That's the reason they actually made it to the playoffs over Bama. I'll talk about that here in a second as well. But Ohio State was ranked 11th nationally. Now, haven't played anybody like Georgia, haven't played anyone like Tennessee, but Michigan being ranked number 99 in the passing game, I said to myself, I bet you every dime I have that they're going to take some shots against Ohio State because they think that they can get past Ohio State secondary or catch them sleeping in some kind of way. And that's exactly why I sent the text. I know I'm not the coach, but protect the downfield throws. And J.J. McCarthy, they talked about, I listened to him the game before that, the announcers, Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt, who I love, by the way, do a great job. And both of those guys talk about, the week before that when Michigan actually played Purdue. I can't remember actually who was announcing that game. I don't know if that game was on Fox. I can't remember exactly. But they kept talking about how J.J. McCarthy, how he's lacking in the passing game. Now, granted, if you look at the numbers, that definitely was the case. If you look at the numbers leading up to that game, the passing attack was ranked 99, like I said, 99th in the country. McCarthy hadn't cracked 200 yards in 4 of his last 5 games. I knew all they were saying about McCarthy. Oh, he couldn't do this and he can't do that. But I kept saying to myself again, watch, he has a career day against Ohio State because they're prone to giving up big plays, not paying attention to detail, whatever the case may be. Ryan Day, I'll talk about him in a second, but didn't make any adjustments. And that goes back to him. I'm not putting that on my boy Tim. My boy Tim is a damn good coach. I'm putting that on the DC, some of that on Tim as well, of course. That's his position group. So I have to be objective right there, especially when I send you the text giving you a heads up on that. And check it out. The secondary surrendered, first of all, too many big plays, including the first of 3 Michigan touchdowns. And then a pass interference call that set up the next Wolverine score that pretty much put the game out of reach in the second half. But they had all kinds of miscues and breakdowns and pass catchers running wide open. And that is what I was worried about, yes, against the Michigan Wolverines who came in ranked 99th. This guy McCarthy, now all you've done is build his confidence, which he never lacked for confidence anyway, but he was known more for being a run-first quarterback. But now he's gotten fat against the Buckeyes. Now his confidence, 19 years old, now it's on another level because Ohio State let him get that confidence. But the defense gave up too many explosive plays. But you got Jim Knowles from Oklahoma State. From Oklahoma State, and he's this defensive guru. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I mean, I really am. But I like what they were able to do this season. But if you look at it, they really didn't play no one that's going to really give them problems now. I'll talk about Georgia in a second, who, if you're a betting man, the Buckeyes have no shot. Georgia, by far, is the best team in the nation leading up until this. But I'll talk about that in a second. But again, the defense gave up too many explosive plays. They did not adjust at all. They stayed in the same defense and just kept getting gashed. Didn't make any adjustments. Ryan Day on the offense side of the ball. What did I say? The week leading up to that game? You cannot coach tight. Open up the playbook. And opening up the playbook is not just a slow developing screen pass to the right to your wide receivers or a slow developing screen pass to the left to your wide receivers. I know the thinking. Let me make the defense go side to side, play from sideline to sideline, and don't play the game in a phone booth, so to speak. But you mean to tell me that's the only plays you have at your disposal? As creative and innovative as Ryan Day is, it's nothing else that you could have called to loosen up the defense or to free up Marvin Harrison. Now, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who declared for the NFL draft, he's not going to play in the bowl game. And, hey, so we were without him. And it was obvious we were without him because we really could have used him in that game. Now, he's made it obvious that he's not going to play in the playoff game as well. He's declared for the draft. I don't know if he'll be healthy by then anyway, but he said, no, I'm done. I'm going to the draft. So I thought that would have been a big lift against a team like Georgia, working him underneath, using his football savvy, fresh legs, doing some things, getting open for C.J. Stroud. But you mean to tell me, enough about the defense. That was what it was, too many explosive plays. But I say all that to say, even though the game was that lopsided in the second half, if you really think about it, and yeah, I'm going to say it, Ohio State's still the better team in my opinion. But you gave up too many. And Michigan, you know what they like to do. They like to wear you down, and that's exactly what they did in the second half. But what's this right here? The Buckeyes were held to 3 points in the second half after scoring 20 in the first half. Again, they went in with a 20-17 lead. And it shouldn't even been that, again, if it wasn't for the secondary and those miscues and all that kind of stuff that the defense was doing. But the second half gave up too many explosive plays. But Michigan scored 5 touchdowns of 45 yards or longer. Now, that's kind of fluky, wouldn't you think? The guy Donovan Edwards, great player, probably be even better. Now, they were without their running back, Corum. They were without Corum. But we didn't have Travion Henderson. And I know you can say, well, Corum means more to Michigan because their style of play and what they like to do. Coming into the season, Travion Henderson was a preseason All-American. So when you talk about why Ohio State, why did they get in and all this, and hey, they were playing without their All-American running back, even though this year he's been banged up. Mayan Williams, he wasn't all the way back. He had just gotten back from injury. He's stumbling and fumbling all over his feet. I mean, every time he had a chance to make a long run, he's tripping over his feet. I'm saying, bruh, would you please quit tripping over your feet? Be an athlete. Be an athlete. So you had that going on, along with what the defense was doing. You had Ryan Day. I think it was a 4th and 2 it was. You have Big Stover, who I like Stover. He's had a great year, a good year for a tight end. But I still don't think they utilize a tight end as much as they should. Think about this. Now you have G. Scott, who got a big-time penalty in that game that negated a first down. And I know I'm kind of rambling right now because I really didn't intend on talking too much about this game. I probably would have been more organized in my breakdown of the game last week. But I'm just kind of throwing it in right now because I'm going to get to some other stuff, college football related, and a few other things tonight. But think about this. Has Ohio State ever had a fleet-footed, athletic tight end? You have G. Scott, who got that penalty. You would think they like to incorporate him more in the pass game. They threw a pass to him last game. But make your tight end even more of a weapon. I'm talking about a fleet-footed, athletic tight end. If you want to play Stover because he's a great blocker, that's fine too. But you need to incorporate a fleet-footed tight end, especially against Georgia. Maybe this whole month you have right now, you might need to design some plays for G. Scott, who's a former wide receiver. It gives you more options, Ryan Day. It gives you more options in the passing game, and you're not as predictable. You already don't have Jackson Smith and Jigba, so you're relying on Ibuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. That's pretty much what you're relying on. You're not really utilizing the running backs out of the backfield as much as you should. Of course, you didn't have Travion Henderson, but Stover on that 4th and 2. You throw a pass like that to a tight end, which you should have been running the ball, but it's kind of hard to say because the play, he was actually open. But when you have a slow tight end like that that's not athletic, you can't expect for him to make that play out in the open field against a defender, against a DB who he was matched up on, and make an athletic play like that. When you're averaging over 5 or 6 yards a carry every down, run the damn football right there and establish the running game and do what you have to do. Quit playing scared, and then if you're going to be creative at the right times. Quit being cute. I know the week before that you did the same thing, 4th and 1. Luckily, you were able to get out of there with the win against Maryland, 4th and 1, and you decide to run the ball out of the shotgun. I mean, you decide to pass the ball out of the shotgun instead of running the ball, which Dallin Hayden, who was itching to play before the game, the announcers were sitting there talking about. Watch this. You've heard me talk about him. Y'all have heard me talk about him constantly. Watch this true freshman number 5, Dallin Hayden, who only saved you all against Michigan, came in because Travion Henderson was out again with the injury, and Mayan Williams wasn't playing. He was injured. Dallin Hayden comes in, rushes for 146 yards, 3 touchdowns, and the week before that, when those guys were banged up, rushed for over 100 yards. Early in the year, rushed for over 100 yards. And how do you reward him? How do you reward the guy that pretty much got you the victory against Maryland? How do you reward him? You sit him on the bench, and you bring in a guy, Chip Trayanum, who was pretty good, by the way. I was surprised. Who hasn't played all year. So that's how you reward the guy who got you to this point, the sensational freshman running back. You say, let me ice him. Let me put him on ice and don't play him for the whole damn game after he just pretty much got us the victory last week. That's how you endear yourself to your teammates? Don't be surprised if he's in the transfer portal just for that dumb decision right there. Now, I like what number 19 was able to do. Chip Trayanum, converted linebacker. But you put him in after you put Dallin Hayden in. You have him sitting on the bench until the start of the 4th quarter, basically. I think he probably got in for 1 play after he just ran for 146 yards, 3 touchdowns the week before, and pretty much solidified the game for y'all. That's how you reward him, by benching him in the biggest game of the year against Michigan. That's what you do because you're trying to show that it's not about Dallin Hayden. It's about Ryan Day. That's what you're trying to do. It's not about Dallin Hayden, the sensational freshman. It's about Ryan Day. That's how you reward the guy that did that for you. Come on, man. I mean, just dumb shit, bro. Yeah, I said it. And you know what? I know I talk all this noise about Ohio State, and I roll with the Buckeyes. Win, lose, or draw. I roll with the Buckeyes. I do. And speaking of dry, they looked dry the other day against Michigan. And if they pull that against Georgia, I mean, well, I'll talk about that in a second. But again, man, that's how you reward Dallin Hayden, by keeping him on the bench. I mean, come on. And then just the play calling I didn't like. You played tight. Even Joel Klatt said it. They're playing tight. I said it the week leading up to the game. I said you can't come in here and coach tight. Now, second half, you just got out physical. But a lot of that, too, the explosive plays, yeah, you got out physical. But again, 5 touchdowns over 45 yards or longer, some of that was fluky. I'll admit that. So I'm sure Ohio State is thinking if we played them again and we could do some things different. Now, again, that's 2 years in a row. This time was at home. And we could do some things different. I'm sure we'd beat them. But when Michigan start leaning on you like that, I mean, Michigan is almost like, you know, I talk all that noise about Ohio State and all this and that. And Michigan is sitting back like, you know, like Debo on Friday when the dude, the character in Friday, when Chris Tucker, Smokey say, yeah, he tell me to shut the F up. I be quiet. But when he leave, I be talking again. That's almost how it's like with Michigan now. When they leave, I be talking again. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you can't come out there at home and make that happen. That's why you heard all the chants after the game from some of those Ohio State faithful. We want Urban. We want I even put a post out that said, hey, even bring back Urban or Jim Tressel. Still don't know why he just got ousted like that. I mean, but that's a story for another day. But, wow. And Ryan Day's done a great job. I mean, I was caught up in the moment right there. He's done a great job. But you have to beat Michigan. And you have to do all the right things to beat Michigan. You can't beat yourself by not making adjustments, being scared, being tight. I mean, come on, man. I mean, damn. Now, you're lucky enough. I thought the season was over after that. Now, luckily enough, Utah beat USC. Now, check this out. I thought Ohio State was toast for this season. I mean, there's going to be a situation like, even though, I roll with the Buckeyes, win, lose, or draw. But I tell you this, the bowl game they would have played, I'm sure by the end I probably would have watched it. But somebody come and ask me, because if you're not vying for a national championship, I mean, who cares? That's how I look at it. Yeah, I would hope you win in the next game, in the bowl game. Yeah, it's cute. You know, you got your bowl game. You're making some money. If you're not vying for a national championship, if you're not in the college football playoffs, in my opinion, you're irrelevant. You're irrelevant, in my opinion. So you ask me what time they play. If they were not playing in the playoffs, hell, I don't know. I don't know. For real, Ohio State play today? Damn, I didn't know that. I'm serious now. Come on now. Now, I'll talk about the Georgia game coming up more here as the weeks progress, but Georgia is loaded. And okay, so you have, and I'm just kind of ranting right there. I mean, play smart. Don't give up the explosive big plays by playing dumb. And when you know you have to make an adjustment, make the adjustment. You have to get back the attitude, especially when you play Michigan. But you're not going to play Michigan unless you beat Georgia. But you can't go into the playoffs feeling inferior. You have to remember, you're still Ohio State. You're still the Ohio State Buckeyes. And you were ranked in the top 3 all season for a reason. You are ranked in the top 3 in recruiting every year for a reason. The only thing about that is, with the recruiting is, and I've said it before, one thing I noticed, and even going back to the DBs, I look at those DBs, and I remember last year, number 14, they talk, it's number 14, how great he is. And I'm like, I don't see him make plays. Where are the playmakers. Denzel Burke thought he was going to be an All-American coming to the season. He had to play early on where he lost the receiver because the receiver kept his route going when McCarthy was started scrambling, and he lost the receiver, not paying attention to detail, not being focused. Where's Denzel Burke? I mean, where are the playmakers? I look at some of those DBs, and I don't mean to pick on my boys' secondary. I just mean I've been saying this. They look like high school players to me. Just their whole demeanor, the way they're built. And I know they were recruited high. Again, I played with some players that were recruited high, DBs. They couldn't even start for my high school team. Seriously. And they were All-Americans, allegedly, in high school. And they couldn't even start for my high school team. Trust me. And some of them that were All-Americans probably wouldn't even be second string on my high school team. And I mean that sincerely. I'm not just saying that. I'm serious. So all this high school All-American stuff, and I know they put out some great DBs in the NFL as of late, cornerbacks. I still think Denzel Burke has a talent to be another one of those great ones, but he gets beat way too often. They're always getting beat or they're right there in coverage, but they don't have the head turned around. Here's a big play. Here's another big play. Here's another big play. But Ohio State needs to recruit some dogs. I don't see any dogs on that team. I mean, I don't care if you have to go to the hood and recruit some players. I mean, it's okay to be nice. I'm a good guy who has an edge. I can have my edge, but I never see the Ohio State players showing any edge. I never see anyone other than G. Scott. You don't want to do it in that way where you cost your team 15 yards in a crucial game. I mean, if you're going to do that against a team, second game of the season when you're playing against a team you're beating by 30 or 35. Then you develop that mentality where you're going to show you have that edge and all this and that. But I like the attitude. I just don't like the timing of what he did. But too many nice guys. Man, you look at Georgia, you look at Bama, you look at some of these teams, they have dogs on the team. I'm serious. And it's just, they're just too nice. They're too passive. You know, let me help you up. You know, my ex-roommate, Big D, ex-college teammate, Big Derek Foster, he went to a few practices. Him and my boy Bobby, they went a few, and they even said themselves, nice. Everybody's helping each other up. Man, back in the day, it was fights between the linemen, the DBs, and the receivers. And not saying that doesn't go on at all there. And I'm not saying be a teammate that's going to put your team in the least position to succeed because you're going to put them in a precarious situation to where they have to overcome penalties and things of that sort. But I just don't see that edge with Ohio State. I don't see nobody nasty. And I was listening to the guys on the set after that game, and they echoed my same sentiments that I've been saying. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about more than this. Trust me, a whole lot more. But they said the same thing. Maybe you have to look at the players that you're recruiting. And that's essentially what I can't remember if it was Brady Quinn. It could have been Brady Quinn saying this, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But you're going to have to recruit some dogs, man. Somebody that's nasty, that doesn't mind getting down for theirs. You know, you may have to get a 15-yard penalty, again, not against Michigan in that situation. But some dogs. You need some roof. You need some dogs. Ohio State needs some dogs on that team. I'm serious. Just way too many nice guys for me, way too many nice guys for my liking. Again, if you want a choir boy, go to church. And nothing wrong with choir boys at church either, obviously. But come on, man. I mean, you just get punked like that against Michigan again at home in the second half, then you make no adjustment. I mean, come on. Hey, I can really go for 2 hours about that. And if you want me to just break down each possession of the game or each quarter, I mean, I can do that too. But I'm just giving a generalization of how it went. Ohio State got punked, too many nice guys, no adjustments, giving up way too many big plays, too many explosives, too conservative on offense, where you're scared to pull the trigger. Oh, we'd have a safety right here. Man, you got to find again. Get an athletic tight end on the field and let him be another option. Because I'm telling you, Georgia has athletes all over the field. If you think the great Marvin Harrison Jr., who's the best receiver in the nation, by the way, and Ibuka by themselves is going to beat Georgia. You're fooling yourself. Of course, you will have Travion Henderson back by the end. You can utilize him out of the backfield and do some things. And come on, man. I mean, trust me. I didn't miss last week because they lost. And I'll say it again. Y'all know damn well I always look for when my team do something like that, I actually look forward to coming in ASAP. But it just didn't work out that way last week. And that was by coincidence. Trust me on that. Because if I was scared to talk about it, I wouldn't be talking about it right now. And hell, I was ready to talk about it right after the game ended. Y'all seen my post. But come on, man. Damn. Now you have Georgia coming up. Georgia who can beat you. Georgia can do it all. Oh, still got plenty of time. Georgia can do it all. I'm talking about great tight end play, running backs. If you need them to run the ball, they can run the ball. Great receivers. Then they just got the freshman wide receiver back from last year. My friend Yolanda Coney's cousin, as a matter of fact. High school, grew up together. She's a UT fan. Number 5 for Georgia, the freshman that showed out last year in the championship game, caught a touchdown. That's her cousin. He's back now. So you add him to what they already have. And I'll talk about that more as the weeks progress, name all the players and break it down like that. But all in all, Georgia is the best team in the nation, and it's not even close. So if Ohio State, they lucked up and backed in, and anything can happen in the playoffs. I get it. Because if you think about it, back in the day, when the Miami Hurricanes, when Ohio State won that national championship in 2002, excuse me, clear my throat. Back in 2002, when they won that with Craig Krenzel, Maurice Clarett, who I think if he would have stayed on the right path, he would have been a great running back. Great running back. He probably could have went pro after his true freshman year. 225, 6 foot, quick feet, powerful, attitude, confident. Didn't work out that way for him, though. And I tell you this, Miami, they were the greatest team ever. What did Ohio State come in there and do? It was them against the world. It was them against the world. They came in there and handled their business. Prepared well leading up to that game and shocked Miami. I don't want to hear none of these Miami fans talk about that game. Man, Ohio State dominated that game from start to finish for the most part. And Miami shouldn't even been in that game because of a couple now. You want to break down the game, talk about the interference at the end. I mean, Gamble actually had a catch that would have solidified the game on the possession before Roscoe Parrish actually returned that punt to get them in field position to actually tie it and send the game in overtime and all this and that. But it shouldn't even come down to that, Miami Hurricane fans, because Chris Gamble had a catch that they negated that would have kept an Ohio State drive alive that would have sealed the game. So let's don't start crying. You see what you did to Miami against Alabama, the first college football playoffs. Ohio State came in number 4. Nobody expected them to beat Bama. You see what they did. So the fact that they're in is a testament, hey, anything can happen. But if I was a betting man, and I'm just being honest, if I was a betting man, I would not bet on Ohio State against Georgia. The way they play defense, with that big defensive lineman, Jaden Carter, whatever his name is, big number 88, who's a beast. Keely Ringo, defensive back. Defense that's just dominant. Nothing but 5 stars. Dogs over there. That's what I'm talking about. Dogs. You got Georgia, who's clicking Stetson Bennett, he's definitely going to New York to be in the Heisman ceremony. I don't know if he'll win it. I don't think he'll win it. I love Stetson Bennett. And he's a playmaker. So Ohio State has their hands full. And the reason I'm saying all that is, and again, I'll talk about it more as the weeks progress, but you do not want to get embarrassed by Georgia. So you have to be physical. You have to pull out all the stops on offense, and you have to score early and often because Georgia can give up some plays in the pass game. But the offensive line has to protect, but you still have to try to establish the run. You can't go in there feeling inferior or feeling scared. I harken back to Zeke and 12 gauge, Cardale Jones and That year they won a national championship, and harking back to Maurice Clarett and them to show you don't have to come in as the favorite. You have to prepare, utilize your talent, coach the right way, be confident. And that's what they had in those teams. They were confident, like I don't give a damn where we come in. We can beat y'all. Again, you're the number one, number two recruiting team in the nation every year for a reason. But you have to start getting some more dogs. You have to get more physical. I'm serious, man. And, hey, and I apologize for going on and on about Ohio State, but Georgia, they can beat you on so many levels. Run game, pass game. Stetson Bennett makes plays with his legs, his arms. I mean, great wide receivers. Running backs that can get it done. Defense, nasty. Come on now. You better, Ryan Day, you better come with it leading up to this game, and you better have, when I say open up the playbook, open it up. But, of course, the offensive line has to block. But moving on. The four, and stay tuned, I'm going to talk Deion Sanders in a minute too. But a couple of tidbits right quick. Jacob DeGrom, baseball, bolted from the Mets, signing with the Rangers. So that left the door open for Justin Verlander, who just helped the Houston Astros win a World Series. Justin Verlander, 2 years, $86.7 million, a third-year option, $35 million or something like that, but a third-year option. So basically, what the Mets GM did is pretty much let one great pitcher go, an all-time great, in DeGrom, when he's healthy, the best pitcher in baseball, in my opinion. Let him go, and got another great pitcher, Hall of Fame pitcher, first ballot Hall of Famer, who's just coming off a World Series, albeit 39 years old. You get him for half the price that you would have gotten DeGrom. So I don't even think DeGrom gave the Mets a chance to even counter the offer that the Rangers gave him. He was just obvious. He was like, no, I'm going to get this money. I'm out of here. I'm gone. I'm going to the Rangers, and I'm doing something different right now, and it's going to be with the Texas Rangers. So you have that. Again, Verlander, appreciate him in Houston, but I don't blame him. I mean, you have your World Series. Houston probably was trying to give him a one-year deal. You got 2 years, maybe a third. With that kind of money, over $40 million a year, hey, can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. Now, the question with that is, just like I was saying about Scherzer, so now you're going to reunite him with Scherzer. And, of course, they were teammates from 2010 to 2014 with the Detroit Tigers. So now you reunite them, and, of course, both of them, Scherzer, how much gas do they have left? I mean, you're paying these pitchers $40 million here. I mean, man, it must be nice to have that kind of money to throw away. It really must be nice. I mean, Scherzer, you see, and I said it even last year, early in the season. I said with the amount of energy that he exerts, how much can you really expect from him when it really counts? As far as how much can you expect from him, because he's probably going to be burnt out. And that's exactly what happened. A lot of injuries to his shoulder, to his arm, to this, to that, because of the torque that he puts on his body. And I love Max Scherzer. I mean, he's a dog. But the way he pitches, it's like, how much does he really have left in the tank, especially to earn the kind of money that he's getting from the New York Mets right now? Then you have Verlander, who has never been noted for being a great postseason player, especially in the World Series. Finally got that victory this past season in the World Series to get off the schneid. But how much does he have left in the tank, especially when it comes to the playoffs? So, hey, we shall see. So, also, sticking with baseball real quick, I hear that Aaron Judge has gotten offered like a 9-year deal worth $360 million to play for the Giants. I'm sure the Yankees will probably match that. 31-year-old Aaron Judge. So that would be the second highest contract behind Mike Trout, who signed for 12 years for over $400 million. So we'll see what happens with him. You have Trey Turner going to the Phillies, 11 years, $300 million. I guess right now, $300 million is the money. It's like if you're not making $300 million, you're not a superstar. I don't care how many years it takes. Make sure it says $300 million on there. That's what it seems like it happens. That's what it seems like happens. But Trey Turner, great shortstop, leaving the Dodgers, headed to the Phillies. My boy Bryce Harper, who's out with Tommy John surgery, he'll probably be out until maybe next summer, until the summer, to July. So he's going to miss a good 3 to 4 months of the season. But you have Trey Turner in the fold now. Great speed, great in the field, and the best hitting shortstop right now, or second baseman. Is he shortstop or second base? Shortstop, I think. Trey Turner. He is shortstop. And when he first came into the league, he was not noted as a great hitter at all. As a matter of fact, that was his deficiency, was hitting the baseball. So now the Phillies add him to the mix. So anything else before I move on? And I'll talk more about the college football playoffs. Well, let me just say this before I talk about Dion. Georgia, the college football playoff selections. You have Georgia. You have Michigan at number 2. Well-deserved. TCU at number 3. Max Duggan. Love Max Duggan. Even though they lost that game against Kansas State, it was never any doubt in my mind that they were going to still make it to the playoff. I had people texting me, Ohio State. No, Ohio State actually got in because of the USC loss to Utah. Now check this out real quick. It was 14-3 when I went to bed that Friday night. Again, I had to go to work. I take my butt to bed. I got to get mine in. 14-3 when I went to bed. I said, Ohio State can't forget about it. Which I really going into that weekend, Ohio State was the furthest thing from my mind about making the playoffs because I did not think that Utah would lose. That USC would lose, and who else lost? USC and TCU. I did not think that both of those teams would lose. But really, I said, okay, if TCU lost, but I didn't think USC would lose, especially when I went to bed and it was 14-3. So I wake up, I check my phone, I say, let me go on, make sure that Ohio State season is over this season, in my opinion, other than the bowl game that wouldn't have mattered as far as them being able to play for a national championship. Let me make sure that their college football playoff hopes are completely dashed. It was 14-3 when I went to bed. Caleb Williams was looking like a dog. He'll probably win the Heisman. Great quarterback. He'll probably win the Heisman. I don't know if C.J. Stroud will actually get it now because of that loss to Michigan. But who knows? You have some players, Max Duggan. They lost to Kansas State. But I woke up. I checked my phone. I said, let me see just how bad that score was with USC, the way they were moving that ball up and down the field. And I thought I was like, hold on. Am I reading this right? Utah? 47 or whatever it was. I'm like, okay, now it may be some hope, even though I still did not count on the committee to really put Ohio State in because if you remember, and then you want to talk about, Bama, Nick Saban got on there and when I heard Nick Saban vouching for his team, I said, damn, that was very compelling. I said, I hope a lot of people from the committee is not watching this because, hell, Bama might be in just from listening to Nick Saban. But you look at Bama, the Buckeyes have 2 wins, but the Buckeyes got in essentially because of the Utah beating USC. USC, I found out the next day that they could not tackle a coal in the second half, and Utah was running. And I like what Utah was doing before I went to bed, but they had a couple fluky plays where they left USC receivers open, busted coverages. I said, okay, you can't do that against a Lincoln Riley team led by Caleb Williams. You can't do that. So the score is probably going to be a blowout, even though Utah, every time they got the ball the time before I went to bed, they were moving the ball up and down the field. But I just didn't think that they would be able to overcome that 14-3 deficit. But the Buckeyes have 2 wins against teams ranked in the college football rankings. Of course, that's Penn State and that's Notre Dame. The Crimson Tide, 2-loss Crimson Tide, by the way. Don't care what conference they play in. 2-loss Crimson Tide are 2-2 against teams in the college football rankings. And both of those wins were against 8-4 teams. UT was one of them where they edged that out. Should have lost that game against a backup quarterback. So I hear Nick Saban. He made some great points about who would they be favored. They would be favored against anybody in the playoffs. They would be, except Georgia. They would be. But that still doesn't mean that they beat everybody in the playoffs. But you know why I don't feel bad for them? Remember 2017? After Ohio State had won that first national championship, and they had that loss against Oklahoma early, but then they dominated after that and didn't have that fluky loss against Michigan State. But it was obvious toward the end of the season and they won the Big Ten championship, and they got left out. So you can't say, well, Ohio State didn't play in the championship. Alabama, they didn't play in their championship game. They had 2 losses. So Nick Saban was talking about how they fared in their losses and all this and that, and what could be if they made it in. But hey, again, it happened in 2017 to the Buckeyes, and then the Buckeyes went on and annihilated Notre Dame in the bowl game, and bam, there it was. But they were not in the playoffs, even though they had won the Big Ten championship. So every year is going to be something to argue about which team made it and which team should have made this and should have made that and shouldn't have made this. TCU is in, even though they lost. Max Duggan almost pulled a great comeback, but they've been lucking out a lot of these games. Maybe they're a team of destiny. We shall see. But they've been hanging on by a hair, but they caught up to them in that game, and they lost. But their overall resume, what they've been doing all season, obviously got them in. But Bama, hey, maybe next year. But I'll admit, Saban it was very compelling, the things that he was saying. And other than Georgia, they probably would be the favorite in those other games other than Georgia. But, hey, handle the business during the regular season. That won't happen. When you leave it in the hands of the committee, and you know damn well they're not going to leave Ohio State out, because you go by the eye test, too. You can't talk about how great Ohio State offense is, how great Marvin Harrison is all season, and then you leave the game in Michigan against Michigan going into the second half. You lead Marvin Harrison, C.J. Stroud, Heisman Trophy talk, all these great weapons and great superstars Ohio State have, and then just leave them out. Because you all know, too, this is about ratings, too. C.J. Stroud, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ibuka, Travion Henderson, preseason All-American, will be back. I mean, come on, man. This is the Buckeyes we're talking about. So we'll see what happens moving forward with that. Now, moving on, Deion Primetime Sanders. Primetime. What did I say? And stay tuned. I'm going to talk NFL, OBJ, who the Cowboys, what did I say? Speaking of what did I say, before I get back to Deion, what did I say? It doesn't look like the Cowboys are going to sign him, at least as of right now. We shall see, because what did I say weeks ago? Damn, is OBJ healthy? Hold on. Hey, screw it. Hey, but I'm just in there chopping it up. But check this out. What did I say about OBJ before I get to the Deion Sanders hire at Colorado? Coming off 2 ACL injuries. Are you all sure? I think people were expecting too much this season from OBJ. You're talking about 2 reconstructed ACLs. So you're reconstructing an ACL that's already been reconstructed. Even though he came back, 7 months after the last one? He had another one on the same knee. And if he's Superman, now he still may come back this season. The Cowboys still may sign him. But I never had that enthusiasm about OBJ for this season, because I'm saying to myself, it's nowhere in the world coming back from a second ACL, reconstructing a reconstruction, because you have to let those things mesh. You have to let that stuff heal. I don't care what kind of workout warrior you are. The thing about it is, You have to give those ligaments and all that newly reconstructed stuff in there. I mean, you have to give that time to heal up and mesh. And you can be a workout warrior. If it's not all the way healed up or if things haven't mended all the way yet, you're putting yourself at risk. And he may have some – why you think he hasn't been as gung-ho about signing with something? Because he knows he's not ready. So I've never had this excitement about OBJ this season. And again, come tomorrow, they may sign him, and in 2 or 3 weeks, he may be out there. But from the looks of it, it's exactly what I said. The guy is not ready yet. May not be ready to next season. So the Cowboys, I said Michael Gallup is going to he's going to ascend as the year progresses. You see what he did last game. I'll talk about the NFL here shortly. You see what he did last game. He's ascending, like I said. Each week he's going to get better and be more of a threat. But anybody that's out there counting on OBJ, second ACL reconstruction on the same knee. Seriously, come on now. But why is my throat itching? But excuse me. Prime time, Deion. I said it. Deion Sanders. He'll be gone, folks. And I meant as soon as something opened up. I love what he did for Jackson State. Fill that stadium up every week. New facility. Brought money. Brought attention. 12-0 this season. Second swag. What did I say? A few years ago when Deion was looking to go to a college and Florida State had that opening. I said, sign Deion Sanders. Oh, well, he doesn't have any college. Who can he? I mean, is it Deion Sanders? Do you think he'll be able to recruit? Does he know the game? See, that's what I'm talking about all these politics and it has to be by the book. That's not always the case anyway. But why you want to make it like that for certain people? What did I say? Florida State should sign Deion Sanders right now. He will go there and turn that program around. He knows how to interact with the media. He knows how to interact with the players. He knows what these players, he can put himself in their shoes. Of course, you know he knows how to recruit. You know how confident he is, how brash he is. I said this before Florida State hired Norvell, who had a good season last season for Florida State, or this season that's not over yet. But I said, hire Deion Sanders. No, let him go, blah, 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 blah. Which coaching at Jackson State obviously did help. And maybe that was the right move. But it's nowhere in the world you can't tell me that Deion could have went to Florida State and immediately turned that program around, because you know he was going to be able to get the recruits. He knows what it takes. He knows he has to surround himself with a great staff. He knows how to be a leader of men. He played the game. He played at Florida State. He knows Tallahassee. I mean, see, that's what I'm talking about. People overthink too much. Now look at you. Deion Sanders is going to Colorado, and he's going to be a great one, folks. And I really believe that. I really believe that. Why did Deion Sanders go to Colorado? Auburn didn't offer him a job, I don't think, which is crazy to me. Mistake. Colorado, you have a chance going to Colorado to turn a program around that was dominant in the 90s, early 2000s. They've been abysmal since then. I mean, Colorado, I don't think they've won a bowl game. Put it like this about Colorado. They're a Power 5 school. The last time, I think 2004, if I'm not mistaken, but they were in the Big 12. Of course, the 90s, we know about Eric Bieniemy, Cordell Stewart, Charles Johnson, the wide receiver. They had some great teams. Canavis McGee. Great teams. But a Power 5 school, it came open. I said it early in the football season. Deion is gone, folks. Everybody, oh, he's going to stay for no, he's not. No, he's not. His ultimate goal is to coach on the highest level. I knew Deion was gone. It wasn't a surprise to me. He's done all he can for Jackson State. I mean, he's done wonders for Jackson State. And I'm glad he actually ultimately decided to go there. I said that about Florida State. But at the end of the day, I'm still glad that he did what he was able to do for the HBCU school and for the schools in general, HBCU schools. The Deion effect. But Colorado, he wants to bring them back to prominence. Now you have a chance to build something from the ground up. So you're not going to a school that's already established. Again, they've been terrible. Terrible in recruiting. I think they finished in the last 15 years or so, they finished like below 30th in recruiting. A lot of those times even past 50 as far as recruiting rankings. Deion is going to turn that around immediately. So you have a chance to build back, bring a program back to prominence from the ground up, put your imprint on it, get the players you want there, and show that you're really the man. Then the thing about it, he has other coaches. He has other coaches that want opportunities. He's opportunistic. He jumped on that Colorado job. He probably thought about it for a second like, well, hell, I have to wait another year. All the other jobs are closed up. Nebraska, they just hired their coach, Luke Fickell, former Ohio State Buckeye. Congratulations to him. Nebraska hired Matt Rule. Luke Fickell, he's at Wisconsin. Colorado, I could bring them back. And you have USC and UCLA, they're bolting to the Big Ten. So that's two heavyweights right there that's exiting. So that really bodes well for him and how quick he can get that team back playing at a high level in that conference in the Pac-12. You can recruit out west. You can recruit down south. And then opportunistic in the sense that he has other coaches that he has to think about as well. Coaches on that team. He has coaches that's coached in the NFL. Coaches that's coached in high school that's trying to ascend to the next level. Coaches that's coached in college that want to get to the next level. And so you have to think about them as well. So the way you do that is you accept the job on a higher level. That way you can bring your coaches up with you, bring them to a higher level. So he's not only helping himself, he's helping others as well, giving them opportunities to better themselves, to better their resumes the same way he's doing, not to mention the money. I know he says it's not about the money. When you're making $300,000, then your pay jumps up to $5 million and can even be up to $7 million with incentives, or at least $6 million with incentives and something like that. But you're going to be making $5 million a year. You go from $300,000 to $5 million. I think money has something to do with it. That definitely has something to do with it. Now, granted, Deion played in the NFL, played in MLB, has made plenty of money. I don't know how much money he had left. I don't count no one else's money, but has had plenty of money. Boy, that fan blowing now for real. I was talking about I was hot at first. Now the fan blowing on me is hot. Sweat. Hey, it's on. It's on. So, but the money definitely played a part in that. Definitely. But the fact that he can bring bring a program like Colorado back to prominence, hell, the way the Denver Broncos look, hell, he probably should have went on and coached for the Denver Broncos. They probably should have hired him. Got Hackett out of there and hired Deion. So now he's going to be the hottest thing in Colorado. Boulder, Colorado. Think about it. And I like what he did. When he was accepting the job, a great speech, legendary speech, explaining why he's accepting the job. And wishing those guys well. Thanks for everything. Built some great relationships. Gained some valuable experience to be able to make this next step. Thank you all. Wish you all well. But I have to do what I have to do. It's an opportunity. He said this is what God is telling him to do. But it was never any doubt in my mind that Deion wanted to ascend to the next level in college football. And then who knows ultimately after that. But then also, when he gets to Colorado, he's honest with them. A lot of people disagree with this. But hey, you want honesty? Here's honesty. He's magnetic. He's electric. He's already bringing that energy. You look at the athletic director for Colorado, he's ecstatic. He's breathing life back into Boulder, Colorado about what that program could look like more sooner than later. You go around and look at the transfer portal to go along with the recruits. He's already bringing some people from Jackson State. He told those guys at Colorado, hey, enter the transfer portal because I'm bringing my own luggage, and it's Louis Vuitton. He says, Louis Vuitton, I'm bringing my own luggage, and he's being honest with them. Look around. I'm sure he's going to pluck a few here and there, but he's cleaning house. He's bringing in his own coaching staff. He says he's going to have one of the best coaching staffs around. Going to bring a few that's already with him. Probably hire some more. Probably going to be great recruiters. So he's going to surround himself with great coaches. But the energy and the passion that he's already displaying has already rubbed off on Colorado University and Boulder, Colorado. The excitement that these guys have, knowing that they have Deion Sanders, Coach Prime in the fold. I told y'all a couple weeks ago, wherever he goes, Travis Hunter is probably going to go. The highly recruited defensive back, he's probably going to go. Shador, his son, playing quarterback, he'll probably be the starting for Colorado. He's going to go. Now, they say Shiloh, his son, the defensive back, they say he was actually kind of mad at his dad because he didn't want to leave Jackson State, and he may not leave Jackson State. Now, Shador is more of a prospect, I think, from what I understand. But he said he did not want to leave Jackson State. I mean, you get down there, man. Got all those little mamas running around. He's 18, 19 years old. You're at Jackson State. It's like, let me see, Jackson State or Boulder, Colorado. I think he's like, Dad, I think I'm going to stay at Jackson State. I'm good. Y'all go ahead to Boulder. I'm sure it's nice out there too. I mean, they're everywhere. Y'all go on to Boulder. I think I'm going to stay right here at Jackson State because I'm having a lot of fun. A lot of fun. But again, no matter where you go, I mean, the Honeys are going to be there. So, I mean, you can go to any town, hey, you ask somebody, hey, man, where the Honeys at? Hey, one Friday nights, they're at that Dairy Queen up the street right there. On Alaskan Fish Night. Dude be like, do you know them hoes love fish? I mean, seriously. I mean, they're everywhere. But he's like, I'm going to stay at Jackson State. Probably partying, having fun. Be like, hey, Shaquita and them having a slumber party. Like, what time it start? Well, they say they ain't going to start till like 8:30 in the morning. But, yeah, okay, I'll be there. It doesn't matter. So he doesn't want to leave Jackson State. He wants to stay there. But Deion, man, Deion is going to get his recruits. He's going to, and he's already telling them things are going to change. He told them, I'm going to make some of y'all quit because of the off-season program that I'm going to put forth. I'm going to make some of y'all quit. That's what Deion is saying. I mean, so he's fired up and ready. Again, somebody that the players can relate to. He can relate to the players. They love his passion. He knows how to get on their level. He knows how to talk to them, how to get in their heads. He knows how to motivate them. That's the main thing. He's going to get the best out of every player, and he's going to get a lot of talent. He's going to get the talent in there. Your company getting the talent with a guy, the best defensive back to ever play the game, one of the best football players to ever play the game, one of the best athletes to ever play professional sports. So you're not going to listen to him, and he's going to shoot it to you straight. He's going to tell you exactly like it is. He's going to tell you exactly how it goes. Deion has those guys wanting to run through a wall for him because they believe in him. They believe in what he's preaching. It's not just fodder. It's not just talk. He's not just saying something that he hasn't done. They can look at his resume. He's instilling confidence in those players. Look at what he did for Jackson State, a program that was down in the dirt until he got there. Look at what he did for them. So I'm looking forward to seeing Deion with Colorado, and looking forward to seeing what kind of 5-star recruits he gets, even as early as this season, what he gets in the transfer portal, because again, he's infused some new life and energy into that program. So we shall see. But moving on to pro football, real quick, a few more things I wanted to say real quick. Well, that's pretty much it for college. But real quick, high school. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they was asking me who's the best high school player, high school running back I ever seen play. A lot of y'all don't know about Johnny Bailey, the late Johnny Bailey, who died, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. Played at Jack Yates High School out here. I'm talking about electric running back. And I only bring him up because I had this jotted down right here. Johnny Bailey was special as a high school running back for Jack Yates. I watched every game that he played from his true freshman year in high school, dominating all the way through his senior year. Our mom used to teach at Jack Yates, so that's how we went to all those games. As a matter of fact, it was a while I was like, man, should I go to Yates? But of course not. Went to the Ridge around all the people I grew up with, and best decision I ever made. But Johnny Bailey was the best high school running back I've ever witnessed. Now, watched Eric Dickerson in high school, but really don't really remember any of those games. But Johnny Bailey was a bad boy, man. He was a bad boy. Then he went on to Texas A&I, was an All-American at Texas A&I, returned punts and did all that. But when he was in high school, man, Johnny Bailey was cold with it. Him and Sloan Hood in the backfield, Jack Yates in the dome on a Friday night, woo. I'm talking about from his true freshman year on. But, of course, Deshaun Watson made his return to the Houston Texans. Moving on to some pro football for a second. Guess I'll talk a little NBA before I get up out of here too. But Deshaun Watson made his return back to Houston amid all the controversy. We know about the silver suits and the way he exited Houston. A lot of boos, but it was obvious he was very rusty from basically not having played in 2 years. I'm not going to get into the civil cases and what he did. We've talked about that so much. Just like, oh, okay, enough is enough. Wish the alleged victims well. Now it's time to let this guy play football and let him move on with his life. Seriously. Again, wish them well. Wish them well. He's rusty. It's going to take him a while. That goes to show you just can't jump back into the fray in the NFL. You can't simulate game speed like that in practice, working out by yourself. You can't do it. Throwing the ball into the dirt. I think in the second half he got his footing a little bit better, but he's going to have to get his legs up underneath him. He's going to have to get his timing down. But they were able to get that win. They were able to get that win against the lowly Houston Texans. Oh, my God. You're talking about garbage. Garbage at best. And I hate that old Love is going to be out of there after this year. And I'm going to say this because I could really talk about college football for the whole show if I really wanted to. I could do draft projections and do all that, but I'm not going to do that. I can talk about other teams that fell off, LSU getting beat, and other teams that but that's besides the point right now. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and my Buckeyes are in the playoffs. December 31st is the semifinals, and then January 9th is the championship game, and we'll see what happens. We'll talk more about that as the weeks progress. But I'm going to tell you like this, as far as the Houston Texans is concerned. And I love C.J. Stroud. I really do. But after watching Bryce Young again in the last game of the season that Bama played, hey, man, you know what? I'm going to just say it like this. Again, you listen to the Sports Court. I'm Gregory Beatty, the show where we keep it 100% of the time. Love C.J. Stroud. I know people talk about Will Levis, the big, strong arm quarterback out of Kentucky. Yeah, he didn't play with the talent that Bama and Ohio State has. Oh, he can make every throw. He's a big, strong guy, strong as an ox. I like him a lot. Just like Max Duggan. I didn't go into detail about Max Duggan, but I like the way he competed. I like the way he almost brought TCU back and won that game. He may just win the Heisman, but he's elevated his draft stock. But let's quit playing around about who the first pick in the draft is, if it's a quarterback. It's Bryce Young. And you know what? I'm going to say this too. Again, as much as I love C.J. Stroud, but I'm being objective right here. Not only is Bryce Young the top pick in the draft, if the Texans draft, it's not even close. It's not even close. Seriously. I'm not playing. He is special, dynamic, 6 foot, 5'11". I don't care what he is. He is a wizard out there on that field. A great leader. Somebody you want representing your franchise. Great character. Same with C.J. Stroud. I'm sure I can say the same for Will Levis. But let's quit the debate about, of course C.J. Stroud. Great accuracy, great arm strength, can make plays from the pocket, smart. Bryce Young is too. But let's quit playing. It's not even close who the number one pick in the draft is if you draft a quarterback. You're talking about a dynamic playmaker, great leader, who's played against the highest level of competition, former Heisman Trophy winner, very competitive, very intelligent. Teammates love playing for him, playing with him. And yeah, you can say the same. It's not even close. So let's quit the debate. It's not even close. And I mean that sincerely. If Bryce Young's shoulder checks out, if it's all the way healed up, and you're the Houston Texans, and you're drafting a quarterback first, which I'm sure you would be, I mean, it's not even close. Bryce Young is the number one pick, period. Quit the debating. Quit trying to, it's not even close. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I mean that sincerely. And I'm an Ohio State Buckeye talking about. Jalen Hurts. You think Harry Roseman, you think he's looking like a genius? You think he's looking like a genius now? Just like what I was saying about Jalen Hurts all throughout the offseason and leading up into this season, when everybody was questioning, is he the franchise guy? Is he the franchise guy? There's never any doubt in my mind because I saw the talent. Yeah, he's a second-round pick. All franchise quarterbacks don't have to be top 2 or 3 picks. Look at Tom Brady. Saw what he did last night, bringing Tampa back, 17-16. Is he the franchise guy? But is Harry Roseman believed he was. Sirianni believed he was, just like I believed he was. I knew the talent and I also knew the work ethic. And he played under Lincoln Riley and Nick Saban. I mean, what are we talking about here? Great leader, great competitor. Could use his legs, and I saw what he did on his last season throwing the football. Yeah, he could get better. I never thought that he couldn't get better, but I knew he would because of his work ethic. Now he's probably the leader in the clubhouse for MVP. That's what I'm talking about. But you think Howie Roseman is not looking like a genius right now when you believe in him that much that you go out and you get A.J. Brown, who had over 100 and something yards last game, couple of TDs, Devontae Smith over 100 yards. You play against the Titans, and, I know this dual threat Jalen Hurts, yeah. Can he beat you from the pocket? He's been doing it all season. Last game against the Titans, they knew they couldn't run the ball down the Titans' throat, as tough as that defense is. You see how the Titans played the Kansas City Chiefs. They knew they couldn't do that. But they had so much confidence in him, they said, we're going to keep you in the pocket, and we're going to let you drop back and pick the defense apart. And that's what he did. Throwing for 360 yards. Was it 380? Over 360 yards. 360 yards. 3 touchdowns. 2 to A.J. Brown, who they went and plucked from the Titans this offseason because they knew they had a franchise quarterback. Is he a franchise quarterback? We're going to really see. Come on, man. Look. Damn. Pay attention. Shit. Y'all gonna learn. Y'all gonna learn for real. But Jalen Hurts, I mean, hey. Balling. But Seahawks, they won 27-23 over Rams. The Rams just signed Baker Mayfield today. Got him off waivers. He's done. I mean, he's going to L.A. He may get rejuvenated as a backup. Now, they're going to let Matthew Stafford get healthy. They may let him sit the remainder of the season, get healthy, and which I don't blame him. But Baker's a backup from here on out. He is. I mean, I used to be high on Baker Mayfield, and that's not the case anymore as far as his play on the field. He's a backup quarterback. 49ers beat the Dolphins. Both teams are 8-4, 33-17. 49ers defense is sick. I'm talking about Brock Purdy came in for Jimmy Garoppolo, finding out Jimmy Garoppolo now is actually going to Jimmy G. Still got about 30 minutes, or as long as I want, but I have to be working like 12:30. Jimmy G may not be out as long as expected. He may be out to start the playoffs. So that's good news for Jimmy G and the San Francisco 49ers. But they beat the Dolphins. They beat up on the Dolphins this past Sunday. Tua, he made some throws. He made some plays. But he was very inconsistent. Missed a lot of throws as well. That defense for the 49ers is aggressive. I'm talking about aggressive. They can ball. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft, came in and did what he had to do. Of course, you know they were without Trey Lance. Now, I don't know if Brock Purdy could lead them to a Super Bowl. Can he catch lightning in a bottle? Not fire in a bottle, like I said, I think a few weeks ago. But with that defense and with that scheme, you never know. But Jimmy G should be back, but the 49ers are for real. And the 49ers were just too physical, man. Tua, he met his match against that 49ers defense and was pressing just a bit, made some throws. But watching the Dolphins, though, even watching that game, because I was actually turning back from that game and the Chiefs and the Bengals, which I'll touch on here in a second. He made some throws, but some of the play calling, man, that Mike McDaniel, I mean, boy, you're talking about creative and innovative. It's like, man, I love what he's doing in Miami. And Tua is going to be just fine. Miami is going to be just fine. But they played against a team, the 49ers, with a very rugged defense. Very rugged, very physical. And you saw offensive side of the ball with Christian McCaffrey keeping you off balance in the run and pass game. Then you had the receivers, of course, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, guys that can make plays. So they're formidable. The 49ers are for real. I love that scheme. I love the way they throw that ball around. Tyreek Hill seems like he's probably going to get over 100 yards receiving every game just by the way they scheme him open, and they look for him all the time. Mike McDaniel looks for him. He's not one of these coaches who they bring in a player and, he might, like Devontae Adams, who caught a touchdown last week, I think. The Raiders beat the Chargers. I hate that for McCoy. But 27-20. But he's not one of those guys who, okay, we're going to bring in Tyreek Hill and we're going to use him as a decoy. We're going to pay him all this money and we might throw the ball to him this many times a game. No. Tyreek Hill probably is going to get upwards of 120 yards per game, every game, the remainder of this season. Jalen Waddle too. It's just the way he schemes those guys open, man. It's impressive. But the 49ers were just a bit too rugged. Bengals beat the Chiefs 27-24. I like what I'm saying from the Bengals. Joe Burrow. Now, of course, they beat the Chiefs last year in that championship game. Chiefs kind of messed that game off too. Now, Joe Burrow is 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. He's 3-0. I still think the Chiefs could beat him in the playoffs. But one thing I will say about Cincinnati, they're ascending. Now they get Jamar Chase back. So, in their passing attack now, the difference in their passing attack now than it was last year, their game was predicated on mostly big plays. Jamar Chase on a big play, whoever on a big play, catching the defense sleeping. Now they can beat you driving up and down the field, being methodical. The running game is ascending. With Samaje Perine, I mean, they were without Joe Mixon. Wait till they get Joe Mixon back. But you add that. But the passing game, they can beat you methodically. You see how he just picked Kansas City apart. Bam, bam, bam. In crucial situations. That last play on that 3rd and 11 was brutal. But Kansas City messed that game off. You can't fumble the ball right now. Kudos to Cincinnati. Again, they won. They found a way to win. Joe Cool is Joe Cool. He did what he had to do. Again, now you have to worry about him being literally like Tom Brady as far as dink and dunk and still being able to take the top off of defense with a Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins all up and down the field with the passing game. So there's more you have to account for, more you have to think about as a defense. It's not just a big play here and a big play there. They can grind it out. Again, the running game is ascending. The defense is even better. They're getting better. They're ascending. But Travis Kelce can't fumble that ball, and the field goal kicker, it happens. You can't miss that 55-yard field goal, and you're all pro. You can't miss that right there. But I don't think the Chiefs lost any sleep over that game. I know I hear everybody in the media talking about, that's 3-0. Are they the Chiefs' kryptonite? I don't think so. As long as you have Patrick Mahomes over there. And again, I still think the Chiefs were the better team in that game. Even though the Bengals actually won the game, which is what matters at the end of the day. I get that. But I think the Chiefs messed that game off. The Chiefs left there. I don't think the Chiefs left there. The Chiefs who are going to win their division, by the way, it may have home field advantage throughout the AFC. We'll see how it goes throughout Buffalo, whoever. But the Chiefs didn't lose any confidence. They hear all the fodder about, Chiefs are like, no. Because you look at both of these games, even the game in the playoffs before they went in the half where the Chiefs messed it off where they should have scored a touchdown right there. I mean, I can go on and on. And I know that's part of the game and things happen. And Cincinnati, to their credit, they take advantage of it. They've taken advantage of it. But I don't think the Chiefs got on the plane back to Kansas City like, oh, man, we can't beat I think the Chiefs got on the plane like, damn, we messed off another one against this damn team. Travis Kelce, hold on to the football. Be strong. Don't let him rip the football out of your hands right there. That would have probably been ball game. You had a chance to tie it with a field goal kicker. Didn't happen. And as far as those Kansas City DBs, I know it's tough covering T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but I don't think they play bad. To be honest with you, the more experience that they get against players like that, these rookies, Trent McDuffie, and these rookies, and this young, fast secondary that Kansas City has now, you have Justin Reed back in the back end playing free safety. I like what I'm seeing from Kansas City secondary. I like their defense. They fly around. But a lot of those catches were contested catches. They were right on their man. And I like the confidence that those young DBs play with. Even that play to T. Higgins, that great throw to keep that drive alive to pretty much end the game by Joe Burrow, it was good coverage. It was a better throw. I thought they were going to get to Joe Burrow right there. But I like those. I like the young corners, and they keep gaining even more experience. I like the young corners that Kansas City plays with. I like the speed that they have. I like the confidence that they play with. And I don't think the Kansas City secondary is the weak link of that team. I really don't. I mean, if you consider, I think they're formidable. And I think they're only going to get better. And I like their speed again. I like their confidence. And Spagnuolo has those guys playing. I think they're going to be just fine. But Cowboys, my Cowboys over the Colts. And again, Cowboys fans, don't get too excited about OBJ right now. I'm serious. Don't. Like I said a few weeks ago, Michael Gallup is going to keep getting better, keep incorporating the tight end. But the Cowboys exploded for 33 points in the fourth quarter. 21-19. Jeff Saturday had his team right there. Cowboys like, time to play. Forcing turnovers. Defense doing this, doing that. I mean, Malik Hooker, I've been saying all along. Me and my cuz was texting. I told him during the game. I can show you that text too. Nah, actually, we talked that time, actually. I said, man, Malik Hooker has to make a play. Jerry Jones likes him. He's getting all his playing time in free safety. Obviously, he's balling out in practice. We know what he was coming out of Ohio State. Supposed to be the next Ed Reed as far as being a ball hawk, not the return man that Ed Reed was as a punt return and things of that sort. But a ball hawk and free safety. Got to Indianapolis, first round, blew out his knee, had an Achilles tear. Now he seems like he's rounding into shape. He's only, like 27? He's entering his prime. He should have fresh legs, but I've been waiting for him to make a play. So my point is, you add with that with Diggs, Michael Parsons, who, and y'all know I'm the first one to talk about Michael Parsons before he even got drafted. And I know he gets double teamed a lot. He has a lot of quarterback pressures. But sometimes I look at some of his stats. One tackle, no sack. I mean, I know they're double teaming you, but you're going to be defensive player of the year. I mean, every game you have to, if you're not getting a sack, maybe 4 or 5 tackles, but you can't just disappear, every other game, regardless of what the defense is doing. You can't just disappear and everybody still say, oh, well, he's the best defensive player in the league. Okay. You have to bring it every game, though. Every game. But if you put Malik Hooker, if he's the Malik Hooker that I know he can be coming out of Ohio State on that back end, at free safety, to go along with the linebackers, Michael Parsons. Love Michael Parsons. Best defensive player in the game. I'll say that. But, again, with that pass rush, if Malik Hooker can finally get his footing and be consistent and be a ball hawk like that, be around the football, and I think he's doing that now. He's getting his legs up under him. He's healthy. Again, he's only like 26, 27, 28 maybe. So he still has another 3-4 years at a very high level. Keep his weight down. I thought he had got kind of hefty right there for a second last season. But if you get Malik Hooker, and that's something that's understated right there that hasn't been talked about, but I'll notice it. I noticed it because I know his capabilities coming from Ohio State. If Malik Hooker can turn into that free safety where he roams that back end like that, you already know he makes plays in the run game. The Cowboys are very dangerous. To do what they're doing on offense, Michael Gallup doing what he's doing, CeeDee Lamb playing like a true number one right now, very pleased with CeeDee Lamb. Very pleased. I've been critical in the past because I know his talent and I know his upside, and I thought he was but CeeDee Lamb is balling out. Zeke and Pollard to go along with that. Now we'll see what happens with OBJ, but I've never been one of the ones who count on OBJ this year to get the Cowboys to the Super Bowl. 2 ACL reconstructions. I don't have to go into it again. They just reconstructed a graph that was already reconstructed. So Michael Gallup, he's going to get better. You're going to get James Washington back. If you sign Odell and he's healthy and he can help you, hey, I'm all for that. If Odell can be Odell, come on now, I'm not a fool. I'm not a fool if he can do what he did for the Rams last season. But keep running the football with Zeke and Tony Pollard. Make sure you keep getting both of those guys the ball. Wear down the defense with Zeke. Tony Pollard got the start last game. Cool. Zeke still got, 17 carries? Like I told you before, I don't care who starts. Get both of those guys their touches. Commit to the run game. That opens up the passing game for Dak Prescott, who's playing well. So Cowboys had the Texans this week, so the Cowboys should be – no, not should be. They will be 10-3 after this week. I mean, seriously. Who else? The Bills beat the Pats 24-10. Washington and the Giants tied 20-20. Man, is that the most uncomfortable feeling in the world? A tie ball game? Hell, the head coaches didn't even know what to do after the game. They're both looking at each other like, well, I guess we come shake hands. I mean, I guess we shake each other's hand. I don't know. We just tied. They're looking around like, what the hell just happened? Did we just tie? Do I celebrate? Do I smile? I mean, come on, man. I hate seeing ties. But, hey, they're in the Cowboys division. Both of those teams have had a good season. But that tie is like, somebody win the game. Vikings 27-22 over the Jets. The Jets, they have White at quarterback. Your boy, Zach Wilson, he's done. Great wide receiver in Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. Superstar. Now, the quarterback White, we don't know. Now, he lost last game, did some things at the end of the game. The Jets could have won that game as well. The Jets are a good team. And I kind of hate for the Jets that their record is not as better as it is, not as good as it is, actually, because they've been in some games that they lost, they probably should have won. Zach Wilson is not getting that job back anytime soon. The way White is playing right now, teammates love playing for him, playing with him. Of course, they drafted Zach Wilson number 2 overall, so we'll see how it shakes out. I know I said a couple of weeks ago, maybe they give him a couple weeks and all this and that, but if the quarterback, if White is giving them the best chance to win right now, I'm sure you're going to ride that out the remainder of the season. Then you assess what you're going to do with Zach Wilson. But that's a precarious situation for the Jets because, like I said, they just drafted Sam Darnold and had to get rid of Sam Darnold because he was insufficient. Now you're saying Zach Wilson is going to be that guy again. So what does that say about your front office? So we'll see how the rest of that shakes out for the remainder of the season. Pittsburgh, 19-16 over Atlanta. Hey, look out. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin might just have that first losing season after all. They're ascending. Mike Tomlin is a great coach. And even though I'm a Cowboys fan, I don't want to see him have a losing season. I want to see him keep that streak going. So they're like 5-7 now. He may just not have that first losing season of his career after all. Green Bay, 28-19 over the Bears. Justin Fields still looking very good. The Bears losing as they should to get the highest pick possible. Green Bay, I don't know what they're going to do with Aaron Rodgers moving forward. All of a sudden now he seems like he really wants to play. I think he's really trying to prove that he's still that guy now because everyone is talking about how finished he is. If he was having a great season and Green Bay was losing and he was putting up the numbers, but they were losing and it wasn't because of him and he was doing everything possible, he was throwing for over 300 yards, which I don't even think he's done this season. Then maybe he'll be like, okay, I'm good. But I think now he just wants to show, hey, I'm still Aaron Rodgers. And, of course, they're in a precarious situation because what do you do with Jordan Love? You drafted him in the first round. At some point, he needs a shot too. I mean, of course, I know you can say, well, when Aaron Rodgers leaves. But you've heard me say for the last couple of years, they really want Aaron Rodgers gone. I know they signed him to this big contract. That was because of all the public scrutiny. He had just won MVPs. How do you get rid of a guy that says he wants to be there that's just coming off an MVP season, then another MVP season? So it's like, damn, okay. Now it's like, okay, we'll see what happens in the offseason. But they're itching to play Jordan Love. But Aaron Rodgers came out publicly and said if he's healthy, he wants to play. First he said, okay, he would understand. Then he wants to prove that he's still Aaron Rodgers for whatever reason. Because he's a competitor, because he wants to prove himself to another team. They may want to make a trade for him and pay him what, $50 million next year, or $60 million? So he wants to play to be able to prove that he can still be that guy. He knows this season is over. But the Green Bay wants to play Jordan Love right now. But they really can't because Aaron Rodgers wants to play, and they're paying him all this money. So, hey, anything else NFL want to talk about? I guess if this show was on a Wednesday, I'll probably look more ahead to the games this weekend. It's just Tuesday. Talk about a few of the games this past weekend. Let me see. Talk a little NBA before I get out of here. Anthony Davis is balling. NFL schedule.
Yesterday, the New Orleans Saints lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, it's not what I want. I want the schedule.
On Thursday, the Raiders will play the
Let me
Rams.
see. Okay, you got the Raiders and the Rams.
The Vikings will play the Lions on
Vikings and the Lions. Okay, I got the Raiders in that game. The Vikings and the Lions. I like what the Lions are doing. I like the season they've had, even though they've lost some tough games as well. I don't think Minnesota, the Vikings and the Lions, at the Lions, you know what? I'm going to go with the Lions in that game. The Vikings 10-2, the worst point differential of any 10-2 team in the history of the NFL. They're okay. You saw what my Cowboys did to them. I'm not going to sit here and just say the Vikings are. Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs, but they're very beatable, very beatable. Ravens and the Steelers. Of course, the Ravens are without Lamar Jackson now. Injured knee. 2 to 3 weeks, maybe. Doesn't look as mobile as he used to look anyway. Doesn't look as fast as he used to look anyway. We'll see what it does as far as his money. Maybe Baltimore may franchise tag him next season. Then he has to prove himself all over again. But they won't get him any weapons, any true, legitimate number one receivers. I like Lamar Jackson. But you franchise him, then you say, you can't do the things you used to do. You're not making those dynamic plays like you used to. You're not really getting the ball to the receivers. Well, damn, get him a receiver. Quit depending all on Andrews. Even though he's a great tight end, but come on. Get the man a number one receiver and then assess the situation. Come on now. You can't not give him a number one receiver and then be like, well, he doesn't really throw to the receivers or he doesn't really make a lot of plays from the – get the man some targets to throw to. They've had injuries. The running game has to get better, but now he's out with a knee injury, so that doesn't bode well for him after not signing the contract. We'll see how he comes back from this injury. We shall see. Ravens and the Steelers this weekend. So, at Pittsburgh. And I like Huntley a lot. And that's another thing that's not looking good for Lamar Jackson because every time Huntley gets in, he's balling. Ravens at Steelers. I think the Steelers may win that game. I'm going to go with the Steelers. Browns and the Bengals. Deshaun, another week under his belt, will be more in sync with his teammates. The Bengals playing like the Bengals. I'm going to go with the Bengals. The Bengals are ascending. Again, like I said, they can beat you in a myriad of ways now. Passing the football, it's not just big plays. The defense is ascending. I don't think the Browns, even though they have Deshaun Watson back in the fold, I don't think it'll be till next season before he really hits his stride. He'll probably be better this week than last week as far as his accuracy, as far as making plays with his legs. But he looked a little heavy-legged, and, of course, that arm was rusty in his accuracy, which was to be expected. So, no knock on Deshaun Watson. I still think he's going to be a superb quarterback, and he's going to earn every penny that they gave him. Texans and the Cowboys. I'm going to go with my Cowboys in that game for sure. Eagles and Giants. Playing at New York. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Even though I like what the Giants are doing. Saquon. And I like what the Giants are doing. And they're going to be desperate after that tie. It's a division game. It's going to be a tough game. Chiefs and Broncos. Again, you might as well make Deion the coach of the damn Denver Broncos instead of he should have went straight from Jackson State to the Broncos. Just bypass Boulder, straight to the Broncos. Take the Chiefs all day in that game. Panthers, Seahawks, Buccaneers. What about Tom Brady, man? Tom Brady last night. I wrote down a stat here before I talk a little bit of NBA before I get out of here. Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm just looking at my notes right here. I didn't say, or did I say it earlier? Bolton I did. Bolton for the draft, so he's not going to be there against Georgia. But Tom Brady, just put it like this. Tom Brady was Tom Brady last night. And that's only the second time, though, he's come back from a 13-point deficit in the fourth quarter. Of course, the other one was the Super Bowl. But Tom Brady being Tom Brady, 6-yard pass to Rachaad White. Again, this game marked the second time he's ever come from 13 points or more to win. The other was the Pats over the Falcons, of course, in Super Bowl, whatever it was, L1, whatever you call it. Hey, I don't know my Roman numerals like that. Super Bowl L1. Super Bowl a few years ago. How's that? Whatever the hell it was. But hey, not too much talk about the NBA. I know I keep saying I'm going to talk a lot of NBA. Really, to be honest with you, not going to really delve a whole lot into the NBA until college football season is over, to tell you the truth. Or maybe next week, because there won't be any games next week in college football. So I'll talk a lot of NBA next week. Anthony Davis, the Lakers are still just 10-12. He's balling. And I said a few weeks ago, will they, hopefully LeBron, and I thought he would, make Anthony Davis the focal point. Had 55 the other day. I mean, it's been balling, averaging over 35, double digits in rebounds. Russell Westbrook coming off the bench doing what he does. He seems like he's accepted this role, coming in there with a lot of energy. So I like what Darvin Ham is doing. Still not sold on the Lakers being a legitimate championship contender, even though they do have LeBron James still playing at a very high level. But Anthony Davis has stepped up, man. And I've been critical of him because I knew the talent. If he can stay healthy and play like this, he's playing like an MVP. Who knows? But I think the Lakers have to get another shooter or two, even though they've been shooting better, because they're running the offense through Anthony Davis. And you have a guy like LeBron James who's smart enough to know that and smart enough to do that. That's what he was banking on when he signed Anthony Davis. So, yeah, the Lakers, I don't know if defensively they can hold up to be that championship contender. I don't know if they have the horses to do that on the defense side of the ball, even though they have Patrick Beverly. But I still don't think overall they have enough, especially in the shooting, even though they've been shooting better. Golden State, they're not concerned about the regular season, in my opinion, and they're kind of coasting right now. But you look at a guy like Andrew Wiggins, like I've been saying all along, his impact, he can give you 35, 40 on any given night when those other two guys are not on. You know, Jordan Poole can give you 30, 35. So eventually they're going to hone in on the defense. The young guys are not stepping up like I thought they would. I was wrong about Wiseman up to this point. He's in the D-League, just like Jordan Poole. He may come from the D-League balling. So that may be the best thing happen to him. He's with a great organization, and eventually, when it really matters in Golden State, it's like, okay, let's turn it up a notch. But Kuminga is not doing what I thought he would do up to this point. So we'll see, man. But the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, what happened last year in that championship in the finals, they've just taken off from there and gotten even better. You add guys like Malcolm Brogdon. They don't even have Robert Williams back to anchor the defense. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I mean, their rotation is lethal with who they can play with, even the new guys they've brought in. But Jason Tatum is special. Probably MVP right now. Him and Jaylen Brown, I mean, that combination right there is deadly. They both can get it done. They both can create their own shot. We already know what they do on the defensive side of the ball. They have not missed a beat in that regard as well. But what they're able to do on the offensive side of the ball as well. Again, wait till they get Robert Williams back. I mean, come on, man. I mean, hey, the Boston Celtics right now look like the best team in the NBA. They're playing like the best team in the NBA. But there's a lot of teams, like I said, Golden State, they're going to be formidable. You know they're going to hit their groove at some point to where they're actually taking the games more serious and having a more sense of urgency. The Clippers, Kawhi hit that game winner last night. Hell, he may not play the next 3 games. So you don't know what to expect from the Clippers because you don't know how Kawhi's knee is going to hold up or how Paul George's health is going to hold up. When they're healthy and whole, they can beat anybody in basketball with Tyronn Lue. And speaking of Tyronn, the Cowboys getting Tyronn Smith back as well. But they can beat anybody in basketball. Zion, when he's healthy, a beast, a dog. 33, 35, double-digit rebounds. The Pelicans are nice. With Valanciunas, Murphy the third, I think his name, or Murphy the second, but of course Brandon Ingram. The Pelicans are loaded. If Zion can stay healthy, the Pelicans are going to be a problem. Memphis is going to be a problem. Of course, the Milwaukee Bucks, they're balling this season. Giannis, belated happy birthday to Giannis, or was it today? But Giannis just turned 28. 28, 2-time MVP. The Bucks have gotten better. Just got Chris Middleton back. The Bucks are going to be right there, East. James Harden came to Houston last night. Sluggish return. Houston is playing better, a lot better. They're competing. Jalen Green is a superstar already. 30 on any given night, 27, 30. I mean, I told y'all last year he's probably going to average upwards of 25 this season. Jabari Smith is playing better. So the Rockets, maybe they won't get that number 1 pick, Victor Wembanyama, who I would love for them to get actually. But I want to see the improvement. I want to see them playing defense. They're playing better. They're 4-3 in their last 7 games. You know how they started out. That's all I'm talking about. Show some improvement. You have all this talent on this team. Sengun, Jabari Smith, Jalen Green. I mean, you don't want to be the worst team in the NBA again. If it's Victor Wembanyama, if the lottery balls hit, and it's meant for you to get him, you get him. You go out there and play every game and compete. Get your mindset on competing, on the offense, playing smart on offense, competing on defense. Everything else to take care of this. If you lose like that, I can live with that. But all that sloppy, not being held accountable, one-on-one basketball, no defense, same mistake over and over. That's why I call for the coach's head right there when that happens. Now, you play like you've been playing as of late, Silas might just be the guy. But all this, let's tank for the number 1 pick. Let's be a dumb one. Our average age is 21. Who cares? Go out and play ball, compete. If you're only 21, that means you should have the fresh legs to play some defense. But Memphis is going to be a juggernaut. I mean, James Harden was sluggish last night in that Philly loss to Houston. Philly is playing better. Never really trusted Philly. Love Embiid. He's a dog. Harden is not going to be the Harden that we all knew once before. I said that last season. He doesn't have that first step anymore. He doesn't have that explosiveness. He's not going to get to the free throw line as much. Speaking of free throw line, Jalen Green is doing what I kept saying last season. He needs to do more because he's so athletic, and that's what he's doing. Now he's getting to the free throw line constantly. When you're that athletic and you're that explosive, make him foul you. I say he's the next Kobe, and I really believe that. Excuse me. I got fans blowing on me. I'm sweating. Feeling good. But it's time to go, though. But what else? That's pretty much it, NBA right now. Anything that I missed out on the NBA, I talked about the Warriors. I talked about the Lakers actually. The Lakers actually getting better, 10-12. Rockets getting better. In the East, Milwaukee, Boston, balling. Best team in the league so far. The most well-rounded team. Things are going to shake out the way they're meant to shake out with a lot of teams. In the East, the West. Again, next week, I really get 2 or 3 different teams and really break them down in more detail and really hone in on 2 or 3 teams, maybe 2 or 3 other players. But telling y'all, watch out for those Pelicans when they're healthy and Zion is healthy. They're going to be a problem. We know Memphis, once they get healthy, they're going to be a problem. We know that.